When police opened Michael Jackson's wallet after his death, they found something that made Diana Ross break down in tears. A photo she had begged him to destroy 20 years earlier. A photo that revealed a secret so deeply personal that Michael carried it every single day of his life, right next to his heart. And what Diana Ross wrote on the back of that photo, it would change everything we thought we knew about the King of Pop. June 25th, 2009. The world stopped. Michael Jackson, the King of Pop, was gone. While millions mourned inside his Holmby Hills mansion, investigators were carefully documenting everything. His bedroom, his medications, his personal belongings. And then they found his wallet. A simple worn leather wallet that he carried everywhere. The kind of wallet that holds more than just money. It holds memories, secrets. And in Michael's case, something that nobody expected. Tucked behind his driver's license and credit cards, folded carefully to protect it from damage, was a photograph. The edges were worn from years of handling. The colors slightly faded, but the image was clear. It showed a young Michael Jackson, maybe 19 or 20 years old, standing next to Diana Ross. They were both smiling. Her arm was around him. His head was slightly tilted toward her, the way a child leans into their mother. But this wasn't just any photo from a public event. This was different. This was intimate, personal, private. And on the back, in Diana's unmistakable handwriting, were 4 words that would haunt investigators for weeks. "You'll always be mine." Now, you might be thinking, okay, a photo of Michael and Diana Ross. That's not shocking. They were close. Everyone knew that. Diana discovered the Jackson 5. She mentored Michael. She was like a second mother to him. But here's where the story takes a turn. Because according to sources close to both Michael and Diana, she didn't want this photo to exist. In fact, she had asked him multiple times over the years to destroy it. Why? What was so dangerous about this photograph? To understand, we need to go back to 1969. Michael Jackson was just 11 years old when Diana Ross stood on stage at a Motown event and introduced the Jackson 5 to the world. "I discovered them," she said. It wasn't entirely true. Bobby Taylor actually discovered them. But Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, wanted Diana's star power behind the launch. And Diana, she agreed. But something happened during those early years that nobody talks about. Something that went beyond mentorship. Michael Jackson would later say in interviews that Diana Ross was the only person who truly understood him. She was the only one who saw him as more than just a performer, more than just a kid making money for his family. She saw him as Michael, just Michael. And in the brutal, controlling world that Joe Jackson had created, where mistakes meant beatings and childhood meant nothing, Diana Ross became Michael's escape, his safe place, his mother figure. But there was a problem. Diana Ross had her own life, her own career, her own relationships. And as Michael grew older, his attachment to her became something that worried the people around him. He would call her late at night. He would write her letters. He would show up at her house unannounced. Some say it was innocent, the natural attachment of a young boy to the only maternal figure who showed him kindness. Others whispered that it was something more complex, not romantic, but obsessive, dependent. And this photo was taken during one of those moments. A private moment. A moment that Diana later realized she needed to distance herself from. Because the world was watching. And the world doesn't understand nuance. The world doesn't understand that a 19-year-old boy could need a mother figure so desperately that he carries her photo everywhere. The world would twist it, misinterpret it, turn it into something ugly. So Diana asked him, "Please, Michael, get rid of that photo. We have plenty of others, professional ones, public ones, but not this one. This one is too personal." But Michael refused, because to him, this wasn't just a photo. This was proof that someone, somewhere, had loved him for who he was, not what he could do. And he wasn't going to let that go. Not for Diana, not for anyone. The years went by. Michael's fame exploded. He became the biggest star on the planet. Thriller, Moonwalk, Neverland Ranch. But through it all, that photo stayed in his wallet. He never showed it to anyone. He never talked about it publicly. But those closest to him, his security team, his personal assistants, they knew it was there. And they knew better than to ask about it. Frank Cascio, one of Michael's closest friends, once said that Michael had a complicated relationship with the idea of family. He loved his siblings, but his childhood trauma made it hard for him to trust them completely. He loved his own children, but he was terrified of becoming like his father. And he loved Diana Ross, but in a way that he could never fully express because society wouldn't understand. So he kept that love hidden, folded up in his wallet, carried close to his heart every single day. Now let's talk about what Diana Ross wrote on the back of that photo. "You'll always be mine." 4 simple words. But think about the weight of those words. Mine, not my friend, not my protege. Mine, possessive, protective, maternal. And for Michael, who spent his entire childhood being treated like property by his father, like a money-making machine, those words meant everything. Because Diana's mine was different. Diana's mine meant, I claim you, I protect you. You belong to someone who loves you. But here's the heartbreaking part. Over the years, as Michael's life spiraled into chaos, the allegations, the trials, the addiction, Diana Ross distanced herself. Not completely. She would still call him, still check in. But the closeness they once had, it faded. And Michael felt that loss deeply. Some say that's why he held onto the photo even tighter. Because it was a reminder of a time when he felt truly safe, truly loved. A time that he could never get back. When investigators found the photo and contacted Diana Ross to ask about it, she reportedly became very emotional. She didn't deny the photo. She didn't deny what she had written. But she asked them, "Please don't make this public." Because she knew what would happen. The media would twist it. They would create narratives. They would turn a beautiful, pure relationship into something scandalous. And she couldn't bear that. Not after everything Michael had already been through. But word got out anyway. It always does. And the theories started flying. Some people said the photo proved that Diana Ross was Michael's real mother. That he was adopted. That Katherine Jackson wasn't his biological parent. There's no evidence for that. Zero. But conspiracy theorists don't need evidence. They need intrigue. Others said that Michael and Diana had a romantic relationship that was kept hidden. Again, no evidence, and frankly, disgusting to suggest, given that she was a mother figure to him. But the internet doesn't care about facts. It cares about clicks. The truth, as always, is more simple and more tragic. Michael Jackson was a boy who never got to be a child, who never had a normal relationship with his mother because his father controlled everything, who found comfort in the one woman who treated him like a human being. And when that relationship couldn't be sustained in the way he needed, he held onto a photograph. A silly, innocent photograph of two people who cared about each other. And he carried it with him until the day he died. Now, here's something that most people don't know. In Michael Jackson's will, there was a specific instruction about personal items. He requested that certain belongings be given to certain people. His sequined glove to his children, some of his awards to his mother. And according to sources, he wanted that photo returned to Diana Ross. Not destroyed, returned. Because even after everything, even after the distance, even after the pain, he wanted her to know that he had kept it. That he had honored what she meant to him. That those 4 words, "You'll always be mine," had carried him through the darkest moments of his life. Diana Ross has never publicly commented on the photo. She spoke at Michael's memorial service, and she could barely hold it together. She said, "I can't stop crying over the sadness of losing Michael." But she never mentioned the photo, never confirmed it, never denied it. And maybe that's how it should be. Because some things are too sacred to share with the world. Some things belong only to the people involved. But here's what we can take away from this story. Michael Jackson was more than the moonwalk, more than the music, more than the controversies. He was a human being who desperately needed love and struggled to find it in a world that only wanted to take from him. And Diana Ross, whether she wanted to be or not, became the symbol of the love he craved. The maternal love, the unconditional love, the kind of love that says, "You are mine and I will protect you." And that photo, that small, worn, faded photograph that Michael kept in his wallet for over 20 years, was proof that at least once in his life, someone had looked at him and said, "You are enough, just as you are. You are mine." That's the real story. Not scandal, not conspiracy. Just a boy who needed a mother, and a woman who tried her best to be that for him, even when the world made it impossible. So the next time you hear Billie Jean, or Thriller, or Man in the Mirror, remember this. Behind the legend, behind the king of pop, was a person who carried a photograph in his wallet, because it was the only proof he had that he was once truly, deeply loved. Rest in peace, Michael. You'll always be remembered. And Diana, wherever you are, thank you. Thank you for being his safe place, even if only for a moment, even if only in a photograph.